The story begins with a young man playing a video game called Tower of Trials. The game was a hit in Korea, and everyone flocked to play it non-stop just to beat it. However, 3 years have passed, and no one has been able to conquer the game. All of the map levels were so difficult to complete that even a basic error in game could potentially end a player's life. After 3 years since the game's release, the player base begins to dwindle as no one has been able to complete it. Despite the diminishing player base, there are still some pro players who have managed to defeat some map levels of the game. And here we are introduced to our main lead. Our protagonist has finally completed the game, becoming the first to do so. He recalls all of the hard effort he put into each level of the game, including numerous trials and errors, in order to complete the Tower of Trials, which took him 11 years to complete. Our protagonist is still amazed that he was able to beat the game. Then, unexpectedly, he receives an in-game mail congratulating him on finishing the game and announcing that the game will reboot with an update. Jin questions the need for an update, given that the game is already declining and that he has no intention of returning after playing it for 11 years. He also wants to stop streaming on the industry's Newbie platform after a lengthy period of rest. The name of our main lead is Jin. He was thinking about his finances. He was 27 years old, though he didn't have a family to support. He cannot afford to continue living on an income of $500 a month. He streams for a while and wanted to tell his viewers something important. They assumed he wanted to talk about his marriage or something. He decided he'll inform about his announcement for quitting tomorrow. He drank a couple of beers and then slept. Jin awakens with the intention of uploading a video to his YouTube account showing how he completed the final level of the Tower of Trials. However, as he was browsing, he came across information about the Tower of Trials becoming a reality. Jin was disturbed by what he saw and, therefore, clicked to check what the story was actually about. The Tower of Trials has appeared in Korea, and everyone who is watching the news is asking how this happened since Tower of Trials is simply a game. While Jin is watching the news, an in-game screen appears in front of him stating that the reboot version of Tower of Trials has been completed and the first update has been issued, requesting humans to clear the first floor of the tower within 90 days. Every human is wondering why they are receiving this message, and they are shocked when the notifications say that if they fail to complete the first floor of the Tower of Trials, every human being will perish. Jin received a message from Tower of Trials that the reboot version's first update has been completed. The acceptance of reality for people has greatly increased. Jin was reading all of these notifications, and he decided that he needed to cool his head off. He immediately wore his jacket and decided to check if the Tower of Trials had really become reality. He shouldn't be wasting his time like this, and he rushed towards the place where he could get that item. Jin knew that the world might end, but despite that, he was really excited. His heart was beating in excitement. In the central city, people were gathered, and they were creating chaos looking for the fastest train to Busan. But some of them also informed that they needed to get out of Korea in order to survive. But suddenly, another woman appeared, and she gave the news that towers appeared in other countries too. People were worried about where they should go now. Jin ran beside them and said, "Wherever it is, it's not Seoul. If they stay here like idiots, they will all die for sure." Jin stopped in front of an escalator. He looked down and thought to himself that it was not the time to retreat, but instead, the time to charge in. He knew that in the Korean server, this place was selected as an external zone, and in the whole country, there are around 30 or so, and this was the closest to him. The location was Central Underground Strip Mall. As he entered, he got a notification that he was now entering an event soon, and he saw that already people were there. All the people who had played the beginning of the Tower of Trials. Jin knew that the items which will soon appear is limited in quantity, and if they are lucky, they might get it most. Suddenly someone called him from behind. He was Lee Jong, a partnered streamer with 5 lakh subscribers on YouTuber. He was really famous, and at the same time, he was the CEO of the company Jin was a part of. Jin asked him, "Wasn't this your streaming time?" He said, with all of this going on in the city, streaming wouldn't matter much. Lee Jong started being close to Jin and started asking him about which level he was on. Jin didn't like Lee Jong because his company tricked many streamers into a slave contract. The more they streamed, the more money they would lose, and their voices were silenced under the powerful and large voices of the company's lawyer. Even one of Jin's close friends, that he'd been together since the beginning, had left the industry. Lee Jong wanted to partner up with Jin so that they can be on better terms, and he also promised him to rewrite his contract for him. Jin turned around and punched him so hard that he lost his 2 teeth. Lee Jong was on the ground. Jin knew this was the time that items would come out. In the middle of the place, suddenly trees came out. Jin was happy that his memory was right. The mangrove of greed appeared. People noticed that there were fruits on the tree. Also, each of those delicious-looking fruits that are ripening right now raises strength, agility, health, and magic stats. People started going towards the tree in order to get the fruit. It was a fierce competition. Li Jiang complained to Jin that if they'd partner up, they could get those fruits easily. Jin asked him to shut up if he knew nothing about the game. People in that place were pushing each other in order to get their hands on the fruits. Some of them got their hands on the fruit and started eating it. But there was a catch only Jin knew about. Most people didn't even know about the fruit. Those that have played the game a few times will focus on getting the fruits, but people who have not lived the game like him will enjoy the sadistic and perverted process that follows. Suddenly dangerous roots came out from the ground and started attacking people. One of the people shouted that it becomes dangerous if you eat all the fruits. People standing there started recalling their days when they played the game. Some of them remembered that they died here quite a few times and started running from it. Li Jiang also tried to run, but Jin asked him if he was giving up. Li Jiang didn't want to die here like that. Jin informed him that it's a shame as things start from the moment you eat all the fruits. Li Jiang asked Jin if he was being serious right now. Jin gave him a side look and told him if he wasn't serious about us, why would he still be standing here? Li Jiang believed him and thought this was the reason he was not going after the fruits. Li Jiang didn't know about the details, but he thought that it was a nice opportunity for him. He asked about the next step to do. Jin asked him that they need to dive in. He also made him understand that if they move one by one, they will become easy targets, so they need to charge from opposite directions at the same time. Li Jiang asked Jin if he wanted to distract it. Jin gave a positive nod. He also informed Li Jiang that even if one of us hesitates, both of them will die. Li Jiang acted tough and said not to worry as he has himself played plenty of this game as well. Suddenly, Jin started running towards the tree and he noticed that Li Jiang was just standing in his place. Li Jiang didn't trust Jin and stayed at his place. Seems like Jin knew about what kind of person he was. Jin knew the one who is bait was Li Jiang. The person who is standing further away from the tree is the bait. The roots of the tree got him and started covering him up from all directions. Li Jiang started crying for help. Jin asked him to take it to court with his lawyers if he had a problem. Jin was focused towards the tree. He assumed the direction and degrees he has to move and he moved that way. After dodging the roots a couple of times, he reached the final place where the core of the mangrove was. This experience was the same as it was in the game. He knew it wasn't a mob event, so it doesn't increase your experience. All it does is give you a spot in the Hall of Fame at best. The Mangrove of Greed uses the skill Vampiric Vines. Even though he has played the game many times, even he couldn't dodge all of the roots, so he picked up a branch and started deflecting the attacks. He told himself that there was no reason to be scared or afraid as it was something he has repeated many times before. Jin reached the Mangrove of Greed level 2. He was dodging the branches as he noticed the sleep butterflies. They are monsters who spread sleeping powder as a defense mechanism. It is easy to get done, and if you don't take countermeasures against breathing and the powder. But Jin knew it was simple to counter, though, just holding your breath suffices. After some heroic actions and struggle, he got his hand on the fruit. He also got a notification that he was the first one to defeat the Mangrove of Greed. To think that the excruciating amount of pattern and timing research would help him in this way, he was feeling unexpectedly thankful for everything he has done so far. He also got a notification that his achievement will be recorded in the Hall of Fame for the entirety of tomorrow. He got a pop-up in which he was asked to state his name. Jin was fed up with this trash system, as it demands your personal information to enter the Hall of Fame. He absolutely refused to release his personal information. He knew he'll get all kinds of attention if it gets found out that he was a former top player. His name was unknown, and it also stated that his face will be covered with a mosaic and his voice will be changed. The system was telling him to settle for a hidden identity. He agreed to it as there were more important things right now. Jin put his hand inside the broken tree and got a marble-type material. He obtained tree essence, tree orb. If each fruit increases strength, agility, or magic by 3, the tree orb gives as much as 12 bonus stats. Also, considering that leveling up once gives 3 points, it's the same as leveling up 4 times. He looked at it and then ate it, and later a notification for the status appeared. In that profile, his name was mentioned, his age and strength and other details were also provided. He was the strongest level 1. 1 hour later, he uploaded his video and people started commenting. Some were curious that this level was cleared. Meanwhile, there were other people who were praising his skill. It was a hot topic because of that the chat exploded. Other than the initial few comments, most of them were of disbelief, saying that Jin got lucky, or that he cheated. But once the video was uploaded, the doubtful reaction disappeared. Meanwhile, in his main account, there were several comments of several directors, giving him as much money as he wants. They all just wanted to collaborate with him. Jin was thinking about if what he did just now was that crazy, although he knew that Mangrove of Greed wasn't easy to beat at level 1. Jin lived a life that was hard to even earn a living with. It was common to be late on rent, and he had to scrounge for several days to collect enough money for mukbang streams. If he was given this opportunity from the directors yesterday, he would have accepted it in a heartbeat, but now, he had a hidden plan to share his knowledge for 1 or even 10 billion won. Right now, the most important thing was the information he had about the game. Jin decided where his next destination would be. He knew of the place where he would get the artifacts, though they were fake as the original ones were inside the tower. He decided to go to the National Museum of Korea. It was basically a treasure chest with countless artifacts stored within it. The only problem was that there is only one National Museum of Korea, and he knew that there will be people gathering from other regions for the artifacts, and among them will be former top players as well. Jin reached there. He noticed that it was quieter than he expected. He saw a man who was burned and turned to almost ashes. Since the world changed, Jin expected other people to adapt, but the gap between expectation and reality was larger than he could imagine. People had gotten really bold in only one day, but they all remained for the artifact kept in the medieval classical era gallery. The artifact that everyone came here to obtain was the Great Map of the East Land. The Great Map, now imbued with magic energy, contains information about the Tower of Trials. That is why everybody wants it. The map tells you where the maze and ruins are and explains which monsters and items are within them. For all of these reasons, people were desperate to get their hands on this item. Jin knew that it only gives information up to the 10th floor. It was more than enough to light the hearts of people ablaze. He knew that everybody will want that, and they will miss the really important artifact obscured by the mud. People below were fighting amongst each other. While everybody was fighting, a man from a distance shouted for them to freeze. Everybody stopped for a second as this man ordered everybody to stop, and if anybody moves from now he will kill them. But none of them took him seriously, and one of the guys with a hammer said if he moves even an inch, he will smash his head with the hammer. The man decided to show them his skills. He showed them his unique ability. His hands turned into a gray color and it looked stronger. He said the map belongs to him, but an old guy from behind disagreed with his words and introduced himself. The old guy explained the meaning of his name. The young man got angry, but the old geezer wasn't just wasting his time there. He snapped his finger and removed fire from his hands. The young man was afraid as the old geezer had magic. The old man then burned the young man into ashes. The old man then passed beside his dead body and said that it was his tongue that brought him this misfortune. There was a lady behind the old geezer who looked like they teamed up with each other. The young lady took a small statue and placed it on the ground and said this will do the work. Suddenly, the statue grew in size and came to reality. The statue was holding a weapon in his hand, and the lady ordered that anybody who will be moving from now onwards will be seen as her enemy. The other people were worried as to why all the awakened players were there already. Everybody gave up their weapons and also gave up the map. But as when everybody was afraid to move, Jin was moving freely in the place and complained about how these people made the place a total mess. He picked up the map and asked the people if they don't have any respect for history. Soon the lady called him from behind and asked the statue to get him. The statue then moved forward to attack Jin. The statue that came to life started moving forward to attack Jin by the order of the lady. He swung his weapon towards Jin, but he deflected it like a pro and the weapon was thrown away. The girl was shocked upon seeing what just happened. The other people standing in that place were also confused as to what they were seeing. They couldn't believe their eyes. He defected his weapon and people were just thinking if that was even possible. Jin knew that the people over there didn't know about his stats, and which is why they are reacting this way. Jin mocked the statue and called him a puppy. The girl then removed other statues as well from her bag and placed them on the ground. Soon the girl was surrounded by the statues. Jin noticed that she can operate 5 statues at the same time with her small mana pool. He understood that she was definitely not an average person, just like the magic-using old men from earlier. Jin understood that there are a fair amount of players who have graduated from being a newbie. He was still in his own thoughts and not worrying about the situation. Seeing him act cool, the girl got angry and said that she doesn't like him. Jin decided to show her who's the boss, and he threw the carpet type thing up, and mana was injected into the pinewood tiger. The ruler of the mountains was appearing. A huge-sized monstrous tiger came out. Jin asked the tiger to eat them all up. The tiger then roared and jumped onto the statues and started killing them mercilessly one by one. The lady was in deep shock. She was in her deep thoughts as well, thinking that she was about to die and how she drew the strong cards, but still, it was not useful in this situation. She wondered about who this guy was. Jin stood in front of her and asked her something. He asked for the mask of Tutankhamun. The lady said it was useless in Korea and asked him what he was going to use it for. Jin called the tiger near. Being scared by the tiger, the girl gave it to Jin. With this, he obtained the second artifact. The lady asked him if he was looking for the map. Jin advised her not to worry about that and asked the tiger to keep guarding this area so that nobody can follow him. Jin knew that the preparations were done, and now it was time for him to go and get the strongest skill in the Tower of Trials. Jin intends to gain the most powerful talent in the Tower of Trial. He ascended to the third floor of the museum where an old man stood, questioning how this had happened. He wondered who Jin was and how he had reached such heights, unable to believe that Jin had surpassed Lee Yuri to arrive here. The old man was quite shocked to see Jin beside him, as he had instructed Yuri to stand guard. Both Jin and the old man stood before an entrance to another room inside the museum, blocked by a strong force field. Jin remarked that he believed it was a 1-star rank barrier. The old man acknowledged Jin's knowledge, remarking on the uniqueness of the barrier. He touched the barrier, noting its resistance to physical and magical attacks, impressed by its strength. Jin also touched the barrier, sensing strong mana emanating from it. He identified the point where the flow of mana diverged, finally understanding the nature of the barrier. Jin identified it as a Carpo after analyzing it, suggesting there might be a way to destroy it, but with a condition before they could breach it. Jin explained that the old man must continuously use his magic flame to weaken the barrier until they could enter and retrieve all the relics they needed. The old man expressed doubt about his ability to sustain such powerful magic. Jin acknowledged the old man's skepticism but emphasized it was the only way out before morning. He assured the old man that he could keep the map afterward as he sought something else. The old man inquired if Jin promised to hand over the map. Jin affirmed his intent, stating it would be unwise to antagonize a high-ranking magic user. Trusting Jin, the old man agreed to help. He raised the fire and opened the gate, allowing Jin to enter. Inside, Jin noticed few had entered before, except for one person, the iron sword missing. Jin deduced that the person who had set up the barrier had also taken the sword. Jin searched for something else and found it, Sangpyeong Tongbo, his personal inherent ability, the final puzzle piece for the most powerful skill. The materials required were ceremonial Persian formwork and the right eye of Tutankhamun's mask. Combining the two relics, Jin acquired the relic the Eye of Truth, granting him the ability to browse others' status windows and discern truth from lies. However, Jin had another reason for visiting the museum. By successfully combining 3 replica relics of B rank or lower to craft an item of S rank or higher, he met the requirements to acquire the inherent ability fusion. The memory of the world was created. The old man urged Jin to hurry as he could no longer hold the gate. Jin wished to copy the old man's ability as well. After examining the old man's status window, Jin realized he was hiding his true feelings behind a mask. To make him reveal his true feelings, Jin understood he needed to provoke him. Jin understood that to copy the old man's ability, he needed to discern the old man's true feelings and provoke him. Despite the old man's urging to hurry up, Jin asked him to cease using the skill. Then, he began acting and informed the old man that they didn't actually need to proceed that way. Confused, the old man asked for clarification. Jin revealed that he had disabled the force field easily with Latin dispelling magic, rendering the old man's efforts unnecessary. With his preparations complete, Jin knew it was time to enrage the old man. Jin explained to the old man that although the map with information up to the 10th floor was useless to him, it didn't mean he would give it away. Igniting a lighter in his hand, Jin saw the old man grow angry. Raising the lighter toward the map, Jin set it ablaze, knowing that possessing the map would grant someone information up to the 10th floor, potentially diminishing his knowledge advantage over others. The old man shouted from outside, expressing extreme anger and threatening Jin's life. With the conditions met, Jin successfully copied the element of fire, saving the skill in the memory of the world. Despite the old man's anger at Jin's actions, Jin activated the skill, conjuring fire from both of his hands. The old man was shocked to witness Jin using the same skill as his own, yet with even greater power. Recognizing Jin as no ordinary person, the old man acknowledged that Jin didn't even require a map. Jin instructed the old man to heed his words if he wished to climb the tower comfortably. Understanding the importance of acquiring as many abilities and skills as possible, Jin directed the old man to descend and level up with the girl. While Jin had gained some points, he recognized there was still a long way to go, needing to prioritize his goals and acquire the necessary abilities. Hungry, Jin desired a meal of steaming rice and a bowl of hot soup. Upon entering a restaurant, he noticed people focused on the television news, which reported on the deaths at the National Central Museum. The news anchor mentioned that the culprits likely targeted the museum's artifacts. Similar incidents were occurring worldwide, indicating players from other countries were also preparing to climb the tower. The news anchor showed a video of the museum incident, blurring Jin's face, though people recognized him as the one who cleared level 1. The news anchor also revealed that the government was investigating the unidentified structure known as the Tower of Trials, establishing a new department called the Awakened Association, composed of government workers with special powers. Han Sangjin, chairman of the Awakened Association, appeared as a guest, aiming to recruit those who had awakened. He offered a minimum salary of 6 crore won and the benefits of a 7th-class government worker, promising government support for those who joined. Jin listened to the news as the chairman of the Awakened Association made the enticing offer in his name. People in the restaurant watching the news grew envious, as the offer appeared exceedingly generous. Jin observed that the news anchor also noted the person in the video was an exception. Aware that he was being watched, Jin was certain that, regardless of the offer, he had no intention of joining others. In this world, the value of one highly trained individual surpassed that of 100 average individuals. Han Sangjin understood this too, which is why he offered a blank check to persuade Jin. Knowing Sangjin had been selected as the president because of his skills or experience within the Tower of Trials, Jin checked his watch. When the hour hand reached the new hour, the Tower of Trials would open. Jin stood among the others, smiling, feeling as though everything was just as it had been before. As a celebration for entering the tower, everyone was given 100 coins, the currency usable within the tower. Players could upload videos of their accomplishments, earning 100 coins for every 10,000 views. However, premium charges applied based on a player's status, with only the first 10,000 views counting for all players within the tower. Hence, caution was advised before deciding which videos to watch. Additionally, the live broadcast function could only be used when dealing with bosses to advance to the next level. Engaging in view count manipulation or other forms of cheating would result in educational punishment. The broadcast system bridged the gap between those wanting to climb the tower and those content to remain outside. Viewers chose to watch players with a higher likelihood of reaching the tower's top, increasing the functionality of the Tower of Trials. This dynamic intrigued Jin the most. The more famous one became, the more coins they earned. People rushed toward the Goblin Cave, eager to clear the level quickly and stay ahead of the competition. Jin knew earning coins would be easy since he knew everything about the place. However, he had no intention of uploading a video first, preferring to rely on others' videos to earn coins. Sharing his knowledge would be a greater loss. He already knew what the first special thing he had to do was, something nobody else would do first. He recalled the time when he cleared the lower 30 levels of the tower, encountering obstacles that required retracing steps from previous experiences. Despite his character's years of growth, he had to delete it due to inherent flaws. Devoting everything to the character, he had to start anew to reach the top. Recalling that it was 6 years ago, he stood before a place called Labyrinthos, never expecting to face this challenge again, yet he entered. Nostalgia washed over him, but he noticed several people inside. Upon inquiry, a girl explained they were looking for a place to farm but decided to enter the labyrinth before it closed. 10 minutes before entering the labyrinth, the group followed Jin, curious why someone who had just entered the tower would venture into the labyrinth, especially since he opened the door without a key. Despite warnings of danger, the girl persuaded the group to follow him. The girl greeted Jin and informed him that they were hunting when they noticed the lobby door was open, so they entered before it closed. She also proposed cooperating to clear the labyrinth together, thus sharing the risk of danger. Jin wondered if she was trying to fool him. Jin activated the Eye of Truth. The girl's name was Park Hana, and she had reached the 2nd floor of the Tower of Trials once, as Jin saw on her window status. He learned she possessed an interesting skill called Commune. People with the Commune skill could naturally become friendly with anyone, even strangers, completely dispelling feelings of discomfort. Jin wanted to copy this skill, which required spending at least 240 hours with her. Once the 240 hours passed, no one could be nearby him and Park Hana. Jin thought this skill would be helpful in dealing with her in the future. The other people with her began introducing themselves one by one, stating the levels they had cleared. Some had cleared the 1st floor, while others didn't even know the purpose of the game. Jin introduced himself, knowing they would likely betray him later, so there was no need to remember their names. The lady with the commune skill approached Jin and asked what level he had cleared while activating her skill. Knowing about her skill, Jin asked her to step away. Park Hana was confused as to why her skill wasn't affecting him. Park Hana inquired about the monsters and their traits. Jin began explaining that the labyrinth changed at fixed time intervals. Suddenly, the labyrinth started shaking, and the walls moved from one direction to another. The people present dodged the stones and walls. After the shaking stopped, they couldn't find Mina. Jin asked if they had never experienced a terrain-changing labyrinth. Park Hana then asked another girl to use her skill to find an exit, but the girl informed them that the skill activation was cancelled during the labyrinth's changes. Park Hana became angry and blamed Jin for the incident. Jin countered, questioning why they had chosen to follow him. Another guy, as angry as Park Hana, blamed Jin for losing a member of their group. He held a weapon and was furious with Jin. Suddenly, a weapon flew in from a distance, the Minotaur's weapon. Everyone thought they were going to die, but Jin rushed towards the monster, dodging its attack and obtaining the hidden stat Rift. Rift, a stat that reduces the difference between you and an opponent of much higher level and increases the difference between you and a weaker opponent. When fighting a stronger opponent, it reduces their level by 1 for every 3 points in this stat. Jin, fighting the Minotaur, saw this as the best way to grow as a level 1 after countless trials and errors. This was the only method he could find, having been hit by the Minotaur's attacks tens of thousands of times before. As he fought the monster, the rift increased by 0.05. Jin already knew the monster's attack pattern and continued fighting, increasing the rift. Calling himself a former top player, Jin knew that no matter how powerful the attack, it was useless if it didn't hit him. The people behind him were shocked to see someone fighting a monster as if it were a daily routine. Park Hana admitted she was foolish to think she could kill someone like him and claim the rewards. Jin mocked the monster repeatedly, angering it to unleash its attacks. Jin stated that the way to quickly get stronger was simple: gamble with your life on the line. The higher the risk, the higher the reward. Barely evading a fatal attack, the stat rift increased by 1. Jin thought getting 1 stat point for just a scratch wasn't a bad exchange, but he knew it would be dangerous if he continued. He decided to wrap it up quickly. Glancing at the people, he saw them trying to exit, but he suddenly approached Park Hana, asking them to join him for rewards. Jin could move from one place to another in a fraction of a second, making it tough for the monster to touch him. The monster's attack was about to hit Hana, but Jin saved her, asking why she was just standing there and advising her to duck or increase the distance. Afterward, the walls closed, and Jin bid farewell to the Minotaur. The guy and Park Hana reached the other side, breathing heavily, thinking they were about to die. They also worried about the monster chasing them. Jin informed them that the dust of the luminescent moth he touched earlier attracted the Minotaur, so it would likely continue to chase them. Park Hana asked Jin why he was being so reckless. He replied that he obviously wanted to increase his stats. He rested every time the labyrinth changed to recover his health and then faced the Minotaur again. Jin informed them they were stuck in this place for a month. Hana and the other person decided to go their own way, assuming the monsters wouldn't chase them without Jin. But Jin asked where they were going, warning that wandering aimlessly would be more dangerous. Both Hana and the other guy asked if Jin knew where the exit was. Jin agreed, saying he knew this place better than anyone. Park Hana agreed to accompany him, but Jin reminded them that nothing is free in this world. Even buses have fares. He then pointed a knife at Park Hana, asking for all their coins. Another player, wearing a bandana and wielding a knife and shield, was seen fighting goblins alone. He managed to kill all of them. The video went viral on the internet, with people raving about it. Comments poured in from all over, praising the player. The video trended, and the player, watching it with his teammates, couldn't help but gloat about fooling everyone. The teammate sitting in front of the laptop boasted that they'd rake in 100 coins. The video player thanked his friends, acknowledging the well-edited video and their subtle support. Suddenly, a comment from Human Bald Male pointed out that 15 hours wasn't that impressive. He knew someone who cleared it in 5 hours. The player dismissed him as a party pooper trying to ruin the mood. But then, disaster struck. A new video topped the Hall of Fame, pushing theirs down. They were stunned. Comments flooded in, expressing disbelief at the seemingly impossible feat. 10 minutes prior, Jin instructed Park Hana and her friend to stop standing around uselessly. He tasked them with gathering moss for bedding and firewood for a fire. Jin opened his store from the status window, searching for specific items. He purchased enchanted cards, a worn-down bronze key fragment, a wooden cartwheel fragment, a lottery reinforcement scroll, and 10 additional scrolls. These items might seem like trash to others, but Jin knew their true value. He successfully combined all 3 fragments, forming the Goddess of Luck, Fortuna's Wheel of Fortune. This item temporarily maxed out luck for 10 minutes, with limited usage due to its incomplete state. Jin, well acquainted with his own terrible luck throughout his life, knew the maximum potential. He activated the skill and his luck skyrocketed. Reinforcement scrolls were notorious for their abysmal success rates, but with maxed out luck, the probability became 100%. Jin used all the scrolls on his dagger, successfully upgrading it to Old Dagger plus 10. This feat made him the first player on the Korean server to possess a plus 10 item. He received 5,000 coins, and the achievement was broadcasted on the Hall of Fame. Jin finally felt a sense of relief, having acquired something truly usable. Meanwhile, Park Hana and her friend spent 10 grueling days in the tower. They managed to access comments from the outside world. Some comments advised them to stick with Jin as he was their only hope for survival. Others warned them not to mess with him, recognizing him as a pro while they were mere newbies. These messages flooded their social windows. Hana's friend checked his social window, too, finding no help from his friends or guild members. They seemed clueless about the situation. Soon, a dark thought entered his mind. Why not kill Jin and wait in the stone chamber until his big brother arrive? They could survive this hell, he reasoned. Hana, however, brought him back to reality. The problem was figuring out how to kill him. The friend devised a plan to attack Jin while he slept. He grabbed a stone and charged, declaring, "Everyone dies when their head gets split open." Hana intervened, warning him that Jin's reflexes were monstrous. A surprise attack, fetal or otherwise, wouldn't work. He'd wake up and counterattack instantly. Then what do we do? Her friend whined. We can't keep being treated like this. Hana, however, seemed to have a solution. Her brother, a member of the Crow Guild, had given her an item for emergencies. It was a deadly poison, a single drop potent enough to kill 100 trolls. The stinger of a giant bumblebee housed the lethal venom. If we have to kill him, she declared, let's do it right. Something he can't handle. As they shared a meal of roasted moss and mushrooms, Jin felt like he was on a survival show. Hana suggested catching and eating some bats or moths. He requested water from behind Hana and some mushrooms and moss from her friend. They complied. Taking a bite, Jin triggered a flurry of comments from the live viewers. Hana and her friend were elated, expecting the poison to take effect. But something unexpected happened. It was Hana's friend who choked, writhing on the ground as the poison coursed through him. Jin stood behind them, scoffing at their naivety. Did you honestly think I'd eat anything you offered? He revealed he'd made a quick switch while they were distracted, recognizing the poison beforehand. He also noticed the hidden broadcast, a violation of the platform's rules. Jin filed a report, reminding everyone that unauthorized broadcasting was strictly prohibited. The report warned of potential consequences for manipulating viewership, and even penalties for those who filed false reports. Once Jin confirmed the report, a red warning sign surrounded Hana. Her anonymity was revoked, and the viewers vanished one by one. Those involved in the incident were barred from watching videos for a month, with a permanent ban for repeat offenders. The penalty for Park Hana and her friend had escalated dramatically. Suddenly, a minotaur materialized beside them. Hana, seeking protection, scurried behind Jin despite her recent betrayal. Jin called her out on her shamelessness, reminding her of her poisoning attempt. However, her ordeal wasn't over. As Jin dodged the Minotaur's attack, Hana issued a warning, "You'll regret this. My brother's in the Crow Guild." Jin, leaping above the beast, challenged her, "Watch closely. Who should you fear more, that pathetic guild or me?" With that declaration, he engaged the Minotaur. Knowing he couldn't kill it, Jin employed his fire magic, hurling flames at the creature. He awaited the Minotaur's counter, the activation of its level 10 Berserker skill, the Guardian of the Labyrinth. Jin taunted the Minotaur, claiming its meat would be tough with too much muscle. This only enraged the beast further, prompting it to activate its trump card, level 10 Berserker. The Minotaur's body bulked up, growing even taller and stronger. Park Hana, a mix of fear and curiosity, wondered how they could possibly defeat such a creature. The Minotaur's Berserker skill boosted its attack power, speed, and movement speed by 30% for 5 minutes. Additionally, it received a temporary intelligence boost and the ability to speak a language. The Minotaur roared threats at Jin, vowing to rip him to shreds and scatter his remains throughout the dungeon, ensuring he'd never trust dungeons again. Jin, however, felt a surge in his magic power efficiency. He was actually excited about the fight. The battle commenced. Jin, instead of dodging, started blocking by redirecting the Minotaur's attacks. Park Hana watched in awe, realizing even the full force of the Crow Guild wouldn't stand a chance against this overpowered beast. Here was Jin, alone, laughing as he fought the Minotaur. Jin felt a sense of time distortion, a loathing for the unchanging reality. He felt powerless, trapped in a repetitive cycle. Whether it was reality or a game, both felt like hell. Yet, this world seemed to respond to him. His rift stat was steadily increasing. The Minotaur bellowed, calling Jin a cheap trickster who could only scratch it. Jin simply reminded the beast that 5 minutes had passed. The Berserker skill allowed the Minotaur to exert superhuman power for 5 minutes. However, there was a hefty penalty, a 24-hour suspension state. The Minotaur was about to face this very consequence. "Is it over?" Park Hana asked hesitantly. "He can't move for now," Jin explained. "But after the dungeon resets and 24 hours pass, he'll be back for us. We still have 20 days left." True to his word. 20 days later, Jin found himself fighting the Minotaur again. His rift stack continued to rise as the battle wore on, finally reaching 100. He observed the Minotaur weakening with each passing day. It was finally time to say goodbye to the beast. Jin turned to Park Hana. "Guess it's time to deal with you," he said. He began mocking her lack of enthusiasm, comparing her to someone uninterested in an internship application. Park Hana pleaded with him, desperate to join his veteran company. Jin approached her, demanding what she could offer that would benefit his company. Her communication skill was no longer exclusive, but under pressure, she finally offered Braham's ring, one of the best items on the first floor. It increased movement speed, granted magic resistance, and even suppressed monster magic power. Jin used the Eye of Truth skill to confirm she wasn't lying. "Congratulations," he said, "you're an intern now. But remember, interns don't get paid, and you have to come running whenever I call. Most importantly, there's the contract." Jin then combined his fire magic and communication skill to create a new skill, Brand of Tribulation. This skill would engrave a mark on Park Hana's face, forcing her to obey his commands and preventing her from harming him. Any violation would result in excruciating pain as her entire body ignited in flames. Emerging from the tower, Jin and Park Hana are bathed in sunlight. Overjoyed at their survival, Park Hana falls to her knees in gratitude. They learn their accomplishment will be documented in the Hall of Fame the following day, with each player receiving 5,000 coins for clearing the dungeon. Park Hana is ecstatic about earning the coins, but Jin instructs her to hand them over. He explains his reasoning. No player should currently have more coins than him. Jin then orders Park Hana to retrieve Braham's ring within 2 days, a shorter time frame than her initial request for 3 days. Under pressure from the activated Brand of Tribulation, Park Hana reluctantly agrees to bring it anyhow. News outlets erupt with the Dangan Guild mobilizing as Korea's representatives to tackle the third floor's boss monster. Even the US, Europe, and Japan are struggling with their own challenges within the tower. This has shifted all attention to South Korea. 2 news anchors discuss the situation. One wonders if China remains silent on the matter. The other argues that focusing on internal solutions might be more effective than relying on outside assistance. They believe the Dangan Guild is most capable of clearing the boss. Jin understands their motives. The Dangan Guild seeks to monopolize the tower's resources by clearing the boss within a month. While he recognizes their impatience, he emphasizes the 90-day time limit for each floor. He believes building a strong foundation is crucial, and rushing to higher floors will only create problems later. To gather reliable information amidst rampant rumors and misinformation, Jin seeks trustworthy sources. He reaches out to 2 former gaming associates, Lee and Yu. He recognizes them despite slight changes since their gaming days in the Towers of Trial. Using the Eye of Truth, he discovers Lee possesses the skills Sandbox Mode, Command, and Hacking, likely granting him the Machine King class. Yu has Heavenly Flower Cultivation Technique, Refusal to Retreat, and Magic Power Reinforcement, abilities suited for close combat, tracking, tanking, and damage dealing. Their similar levels suggest they often hunted together, and Jin recalls their past compatibility. The copy condition requires reaching the 20th floor with both of them to acquire their skills. They all introduce themselves, with Jin adopting the alias Poop Fart. As they converse, Jin reveals he no longer streams. Lee encourages them to relax, showcasing remarkable social skills. However, Jin remembers these are the same people who once tried to exploit him, and he has no interest in associating with them again. Jin and Park Hana enter a building filled with people gathered for a test. Behind them is Kim of the Fighting Father Guild, angry about the crowd. One of his bodyguards approaches Jin and asks him to move out from here. Seeing the situation not being handled, Park Hana's brother, Hajin, encountered Jin. Using the Eye of Truth, Jin discovers Hajin's skills are acceleration, stealth, and shallow breathing. To copy them, Jin needs to reach maximum hostility with Hajin. Park Hana asked his brother what it was, but she went to a deep shock after seeing Jin standing over there and noticing that her brother messed with the wrong person. Jin held Hajin's finger and twisted it. Chaos erupted as Jin twisted Hana's brother's finger. The bodyguard charged, yelling for everyone to back away. Jin reacted with lightning speed, dodging the attack by throwing the water bottle in between them. Confusion filled the air. Some thought Hajin tripped, while others couldn't believe Jin's agility. Hana, deeply worried about her brother, questioned his intentions. Before the situation escalated further, fighting Father Kim intervened, urging everyone to calm down. Jin activated the Eye of Truth, but a warning flashed. The skill failed due to a significant level difference. He estimated fighting Father Kim's level to be over 20. Jin noted Father Kim's presence, commenting that Hajin must be accompanied by his nanny. Kim chuckled, admitting that Hajin was a handful but undeniably useful. Jin, deciphering the implication, connected the dots. Hajin supplied Korean ginseng to China. Brushing aside the details, Jin proposed a discussion about managing the ginseng's magical side effects. Before Jin could elaborate, Father Kim activated a blackout barrier, isolating him from the others. Jin's friends attempted to reach him, but the barrier proved impenetrable. With Jin trapped, Father Kim demanded proof of his claimed knowledge. Jin explained the benefits of Korean ginseng, its restorative properties and exceptional magic power recovery. However, consuming it raw caused magical poisoning. He revealed that 3 specific items could easily counter this side effect: Carasion's extract, Moonlight Stone, and most importantly, Mandragora root. He offered to reveal their locations but stressed the need for trust. Father Kim was stunned. Jin's information perfectly matched the results of his guild's research and exploration teams. Amazed, he wondered who this mysterious man could be. Despite the shock, Kim remained cautious, brandishing a knife towards Jin and warning him against any tricks. He considered the information valuable, worth 10 of their most profitable dungeons. But the price tag seemed exorbitant. Just as Kim contemplated drawing a line, a strange smile appeared on Jin's face. Misunderstanding, perhaps, Jin said. The opportunity lies with you. Suddenly, Father Kim landed on the floor outside the barrier. Jin's friends surrounded him, ensuring his safety. The barrier deactivated, revealing a calm Jin. He reassured his friends and praised Father Kim's receptiveness, exceeding his expectations. Hana's brother, enraged by the turn of events, lunged at Jin. However, Father Kim restrained him, warning that Jin wasn't someone he could handle. He threatened consequences if the young man acted impulsively. Defeated, Hana's brother stood there, fuming and confused about what transpired within the barrier. Fueled by his anger, Hana's brother vowed to kill Jin, regardless of the copy conditions. His rage fueled his focus, granting him the shallow breathing skill. This new ability was permanently saved within the world's memory. Seeing the commotion settled, Jin decided to take the test himself. Entering the queue, his turn arrived. The examiner explained the test's simplicity: strike the magic stone with any item or skill. This would gauge his potential based on the magic power output. The examiner was surprised to see Jin rely solely on his weapon, omitting any unique abilities. After receiving instructions to begin whenever he was ready, Jin approached a mid-grade magic stone. The examiner, bewildered, advised him to use the provided low-grade stone, claiming the higher-tier stones were unsuitable for most people. Before the examiner could finish, Jin sliced the mid-grade stone in half. The examiner, speechless, stammered that most failed to meet the minimum magic power requirement, let alone shatter a stone. He congratulated Jin on his extraordinary talent and announced him to be an S rank, informing him that a report would be sent to his superiors. Jin, however, requested a 1-week delay on the report, citing personal reasons. The examiner, intimidated by Jin's veiled threat about the law that's far away, readily agreed. Emerging from the exam room, Jin saw Hana with the Braham's ring. He praised her for keeping her promise and postponed lifting the mark on her face contingent on her future actions. To his friend's astonishment, he declared his current rank as F, assuring them it was temporary. He promised to retest next week. Bidding farewell to Lee and Yu, Jin encouraged them to continue their climb through the tower. He assured contact soon. The first test categorized ranks based on magic power output. Those who passed would proceed to the second test, clearing a dungeon. Though the test allowed any difficulty, most opted for dungeons with goblins or orcs. Jin, however, had a different goal in mind, a challenge no one had ever conquered: the ruins on the first floor, the Hall of the Depraved. The first floor of the Tower of Trials was a treacherous landscape of mountainous ruins. Since Jin masqueraded as an F rank, venturing solo into the ruins was impossible. Guild regulations strictly enforced this rule. So, with a cunning plan in mind, Jin registered as a porter. He walked ahead of a group of men, carrying supplies. One man inquired about Jin's presence. Jin, feigning naivete, replied he was there for money to survive. This resonated with another man, who showed a picture of his family, highlighting his need to provide. Fear hung in the air, a single misstep meant dire consequences. Ambulances wouldn't reach them here as technology malfunctioned within the ruins. Jin, radiating confidence, assured them of their safe return, earning respect from an older porter who acknowledged his courage compared to other youngsters. Suddenly, a notification popped up on Jin's screen. Benefits for the first conqueror of the tower. Was he the only recipient? Luck and adaptive start increased by 10, and a new skill, Cold Heart, activated. This granted him composure under immense pressure. Additionally, the Monopoly skill activated. If he claimed all final rewards without sharing, he would receive the absolute best reward. Jin reveled in this, considering the vast array of rewards in the tower. The blinding light announced the arrival of the attack force, led by Captain Song Chinhua. He confirmed the presence of all 50 members and ordered them into formation. Jin activated the Eye of Truth, gleaning information on Chinhua's skills, Iron Shield, Compact Formation, Persistence, Vitality, and Stone Through. However, gaining Chinhua's trust, a requirement for copying his skills, seemed challenging. They ventured into the darkness. A man illuminated the path using a skill. The porters witnessed the aftermath of the advance party's battle. Defeated monsters lay scattered about, a chilling sight. A subordinate informed everyone of the porter's arrival. Jin, tasked with distributing ice water, grumbled internally about his assigned duties as a porter. Foreigners stood amongst the crowd, their attire marked with the insignia of the Zion Guild, an elite European group. Jin, drawn to a petite figure, approached and offered her water, thanking her for her hard work. He discreetly activated commune as she removed her mask, revealing stunning beauty. The Eye of Truth initially failed due to the level difference, but Jin's boosted luck and adaptive start bridged the gap. Her stats were impressive: Sacred Reinforcement, Stealth, Mana Blessed Touch, Sign of the Cross, and Illusion Barrier. To copy her abilities, Jin needed to save her from a life-threatening situation. He pondered the nature of these abilities, particularly the unique one considered the best among holy knights. However, the situation took a drastic turn. The guards protecting a guardian lay dead. A timer appeared, counting down 10 minutes. The security system, a sleeping bomb, was triggered by an external stimulus and would awaken the guardian protecting the dungeons. The leader, overwhelmed with fear, declared it practically suicidal to face the guardian with the current group, including porters. He anticipated heavy casualties and decided to proceed despite the risks, banking on the presence of Saintess Teresa. News of the awakened guardian spread like wildfire among the porters. A young boy, brimming with trust in the Balhi Guild, questioned the panic. But before he could finish, a figure emerged from the shadows and silenced him. Now, with the guardian awakened and a deadly countdown ticking, will Jin be able to utilize his cunning and newfound skills to overcome this impossible challenge? Can he save the clueless porters and rewrite the rules of the game once again?